We have an activist, political prisoner who spent 900 days in solitary confinement. He is a candidate for the United States Senate, and he was recently pardoned by the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Jake Lang joining us. Welcome to the program, Jake. Thank you for making the trip.
Bless. Guy's a patriot. He's a freaking patriot.
We're home, baby. America's back. Let's go.
I have so many questions for you, but first of all, let's start with what everybody probably asks you about, which is January 6th. Okay, you're on the Capitol January 6th. Take us through the day, why you were there, what happened, and then the ensuing days after, so we can have a full scope as to your activities that day at the Capitol, and then what happened to you immediately afterwards.
I have a hot take on this. I was at the Capitol because of Andrew Cuomo.
Oh, are you serious?
I'm a New Yorker.
Okay.
Andrew Cuomo, we call it the Cuomo virus in New York.
Okay.
Coronavirus was abject tyranny in New York City, where I lived during 2019, 2020. I lived there for many years. The city was in literal dystopian police state lockdown. We had actual curfews, 8 p.m. You weren't allowed to take the subway after 8 p.m. The city bike shut down, Lyft, Uber. It was like a technological dystopian police state shutdown. And my business fell through, everything, everybody around me. Most people packed up and moved down here to Fort Lauderdale, West Palm, Miami. And so my way of life changed. All of ours did. And I got disgusted, and I saw President Joe Biden as an actual threat to the freedom of America in the future, thinking that as all the Democrat mayors and governors did, they just locked down and put in these draconian rules, right? So I saw Joe Biden as a never-ending COVID lockdown. You pair that in with the stolen election, disenfranchising me and millions of Americans, it was basically putting tinder right into this fire, throwing a match on gasoline. And we went down to the Capitol. We were peaceful, and the Capitol Police attacked us. Once you've been locked in for a year, right? Red-blooded American men, gun owners, patriots, Republicans, locked in our houses for a year, our voices stolen from us, and then bullied by Nancy Pelosi's stormtroopers at the Capitol. In fact, murdered 4 unarmed Americans, lost their lives that day. You add all those things together, and what do you get? A 1776 uprising of the American patriot, which ended in one of the most historic visuals ever. We, the people, without a single shot fired, without a single violent intention of our own, ended up in the United States seat of power. Just regular, everyday people from Wisconsin, flyover states, sitting there in the speaker's chair. It was a beautiful thing to see. Finally, pushback. Finally, masculinity. Finally, a little bit of veracity in the American people saying, you can't push us this far. There was a line in the sand that our forefathers drew, and is when tyranny is afoot in America, the patriots will stand up. And that's what I went to the Capitol for, to stand up, not for violence, but to make my voice heard, to push back, to file a redress of grievance. That's a constitutional First Amendment right, and to stand as an American with a million other of my brothers and sisters and pray in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ and influence our elected officials, showing them this is the will of the people, that President Donald J. Trump won that election, that the Democrats stole the election, and that we want to recount. So when they didn't listen to us, we showed them how Americans really are at the end of the day.
So let me ask a question. Let's start first. You're in New York City during COVID. How old are you now?
I'm 30 years old now.
So you're 30 years old. So this is going on, this is 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So you're 24 years old. You said that your business shut down. What was your line of work before? And were you politically active before January 6th?
Yeah, like a lot of men my age, more like on the libertarian and the smallest government possible. We want to see the government like microscopic.
I don't disagree with any of that.
Right? And I had e-commerce businesses that I ran, but I also was involved in hospitality in New York, deeply involved, 7 nights a week out, making business contacts, doing what young men do, running around in New York City. And when they took that from me, I didn't have a bar, a restaurant, anywhere to go to, right? All of a sudden at nighttime, you're like, oh, man. And it was obviously bad for my business side of things and my social life, but personally, God was able to use that in my life, and I think millions of people's lives, to take a look in the mirror and say, take a check on your lifestyle. Me, I was out too much, partying too much, and so I came closer to Christ during that time, started reading the Bible. But you shouldn't be tyrannically forced to go after Jesus Christ because you have nothing else to do, right? Because your government locks down every single, entertainment and small mom and pop shop. Then you have to turn towards God. You know, I mean, that's the way things are. A lot of people turn towards God in jail, right? Because of when you take away everything from somebody, the only thing left is your root, your nature with God. But yeah, I was a businessman in New York, really enjoying my young life. I was very successful.
So is it fair to say COVID is what woke you up? Is that what was the defining moment for you to
COVID
start?
Ignited a fire of revolution in my heart, as it should. When the government rains down tyranny on people, we shouldn't recoil into submissive, supine position. We should rise up as Americans, and that's what January 6th was.
Now, let's get to that. Okay, so if according to the authorities, and I'm going to read exactly what the authorities say, and then I'd like for your input and pushback and feedback. You were arrested on January 16th, 2021, so this was 10 days after. Where were you when you got arrested?
I was upstate New York, about 45 minutes outside New York City.
Okay. You were indicted on 11 counts, including multiple assaults on law enforcement. According to prosecutors, they say, not me, they say that you wielded a riot shield and an aluminum baseball bat. Connor, I believe you found, is that you?
That is Jake Lang in the flesh.
Okay. Sorry. All right, cool. All right.
That's you in the front?
So
that's me in the
with
front.
With a DeMarini bat.
What we don't see, let's measure this. So, I mean, that's pretty hardcore rock and roll.
It's not like you came with...
I didn't come with any of that. Okay. Literally not even the gas mask, not the baseball bat, not the riot shield. I found all of those things in the middle of what was...
What do you mean you found them?
Like, okay, but let me measure everything first. The bottom of this photo, what you don't see, is a woman named Roseanne Boylan who's dead underneath my feet right there.
Okay, you said
I'm trying to push back the police that murdered her.
Did they shoot her or did they beat her?
They trampled her to death. They sprayed her, chemically asphyxiated her. She was doused.
And this is one of the four unarmed people that you say. See,
you see this and you think I'm a criminal, right? But what you don't realize is there's women dying. And men need to stand up. You see the picture? All the men there? We formed this like semicircle to protect the women from the Capitol Police were like encroaching. They had like baton death march orders to kill Americans.
When you say that you found this equipment, are there piles of these shields and batons laying around almost as if they were left for people to grab and use? Or are you like, well, I just found one that was there and no one else was grabbing them? Like, how frequent are these weapons, not weapons, but these devices being left around or available on the Capitol the day of January 6th?
So this is going to be some headline news because I don't think I broke this in any major podcast ever. That baseball bat was handed to me by an avowed Antifa member that had said in his court documents that he was at the Capitol to get Trump supporters killed. I was in the middle of using the riot shield, which was found on the ground. A lot of police officers ditched them when they ran inside. And the gas mask was also found on the ground inside that tunnel. A protester dropped it, and I put it on, picked up the riot shield, and I was pushing against the police who were pushing against us because we were trying to save human lives right there. But the baseball bat, when you're in the middle of that fury there, you're fighting for your life, you're in self-defense mode, fight or flight. I'm literally like using the riot shield, not hurting anybody with it. And all of a sudden, this baseball bat literally materializes in my hand. And the guy who did it, named Josiah Kenyon, he was an avowed Antifa member that was passing out weapons to Trump supporters to try to escalate. And God knows what kind of confidential human sources or what other type of federal FBI assets that these Antifa members were working with.
We just found out there were 600 or... all together?
274 undercovers, but with a ton of other. DHS.
Yeah.
You have local plainclothes.
Yep.
There was probably on Capitol grounds, FBI, 274 Kash Patel just came out with, and including plainclothes, Capitol police officers, all that stuff, probably at least 600-700 in the crowd that day.
So let me ask you a question, Jake. How do they know? Like, you weren't out there with a sign. You weren't showing you can't see your face. How do they find you? Well, how do they know that it's you?
So I was pretty proud of what I did that day.
I can tell.
Our founding father, George Washington, can be seen 300 years prior, 250 years prior, standing behind me right there, also fighting alongside the spirit of our founding fathers. When the American government is afraid of the people, we have freedom. When the people are afraid of the government, we have tyranny. And Thomas Jefferson told us that the American people need to time and time again remind the government of the spirit of rebellion that started this country. So that's what January 6th was. And at the end of the day, no police officers died.
Yep.
None of them are permanently injured, and we did what Americans do. We pushed back. We showed our unity, the strength that we have when we stand together.
How they find you? Just really fast, I want to ask.
Yeah, so I posted on my Instagram, "This is me, come arrest me."
Okay. All right.
You will be, I said, you were on the wrong side of history. This is me, come arrest me. 1776, liberty or death.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I want to ask one question. So Hey, number one, I believe, and I know because the proof is there, that they cheated in 2020 with Joe Biden keeping him in the basement, the ballot boxes, covering up the wall so nobody could see the votes, the ballots, the Hunter Biden laptop, all that, bro, all that suppression. I 100% believe in that. Number one. Number two, the FBI, plain clothes, doing all that stuff, shooting tear gas and all that shit, rubber bullets to antagonize, shooting the gas, doing all that stuff. I appreciate the fact that, because my thing is this, bro, during BLM, you know what I mean? That cop was kneeling, Derek Chauvin, on George Floyd, who was a scumbag, and he died, and okay, whatever happened, he actually died from the drugs. But the people rose up and burned down their own cities. They killed each other. They burned down churches. They burned down black-owned businesses, and it was supposed to be BLM. So I think that's completely stupid. I think when there's a problem with the system, you go to the system. I agree 1,000%. In hindsight, though, when it comes to, and I'm with it, legally, like, think about this, though, but before all that, even knowing all this stuff, you could understand how somebody could say, if you hit a cop or you beat somebody up, I see in this photo that you're protecting, but in a scenario where people are like, wait a minute, did you break the law? Because yeah, they're firing the gas, Jake. They're antagonizing you guys. But if somebody beat the shit out of a cop, they should be arrested. Does that make sense?
100%. And, you know, the way that the legality around something like this happens is there's actually 3 different levels of legal principle that actually defends you. You have right to self-defense. If a police officer is making an unlawful arrest on you, right, you're allowed to fight back using equal force to keep yourself protected. If he's using a baton, you're allowed to use a bat.
Yes.
So that's the first legal principle. Second one, the woman dying, defense of a third person. You are also, if you walk down an alley and 2 police officers are curb stomping some woman, right, or whatever, they're hurting some woman, and there doesn't seem to be any legal reason behind it, you're allowed to also defend a third person against police or just a random, if you being a good Samaritan.
Yes.
So there's a third legal principle, and this one's the inflammatory one, Founding Fathers' legal principle, the right to defend our country versus tyranny, which is supremacy. That's what the Second Amendment's based around. That's what the Declaration of Independence is based around, saying that when the government is repugnant to the rights and the will of the people have the right.
It's your obligation.
Obligation. It's our duty to make sure that government is reformed to match the will of the people. And I'm not saying January 6th we were there to reform the government. People will take that out of context. But at the end of the day, our lawmakers were refusing to acknowledge 1 million Americans outside the building saying, hey, we want to send these votes back to the state legislator. You need to listen to the will of the people. They completely ignored us. They stole the election. And then they bullied us. They fired upon us first. Unarmed Americans, peaceful protesters. So what do you expect to happen? This is not...
And this is the plan, though, Jay. If you think about it, kudos to them for being good at being a piece of, you know what? Pelosi turning down the National Guard, them going in there. Bro, I saw them. I saw Antifa changing into outfits and looking like different people. It was set up. You guys were set up to do it. Like, you guys were set up for failure from the beginning because they knew you guys were coming. They knew there was going to be a protest. I mean, look at Trump's been suing people left and right for saying, go to the Capitol and do this. BBC just got in trouble. They just got exposed for trying to make it seem like he said, go there and go there and fight. He said go there and peacefully protest, and it turned into what it turned into. Go ahead, Rob.
Well, as a guy that was there on January 6th and you were inside the Capitol, when it comes to President Trump, the media has blamed him for January 6th, like you just said. Yep. They framed it like he was the one that told people to do these actions. At any point during any time, were you told by President Donald Trump to break into the Capitol and do what you did? Or did you do that because you love the country? And you thought you were doing what was right?
I did that because I love our constitutional republic so much I'd lay down my life for it. And President Trump told us, in fact, remain peaceful, right? Peacefully and patriotically. That's just peacefully, patriotically.
Yes, he did.
Go to the Capitol and support our brave lawmakers. Those are his exact words. And we went to the Capitol. What we didn't we expected at the Capitol, there were permitted speaking events there. So there was supposed to be a lineup of speakers. Stop the Steal was an official organization behind this. And when we got to the Capitol, none of the speaker booths were set up. The Capitol Police were already hitting people with flash grenades and concussion grenades. And so they turned it into a, defend yourself or run like coward scenario. And we said, no, this is the people's house, red, white, and blue. These colors do not run. You're not going to bully us at the people's house. And so we went inside the building. And eventually we said, we're coming in.
And how long were you inside the building
I was,
for?
right there, that picture. Again, That is an inaugural tunnel. That's the tunnel that President of the United States comes out on the the West Terrace of the United States Capitol. If you consider that inside the Capitol, it's like a breezeway. It's like a doorway to a building. Technically, I wasn't inside any type of, unauthorized area. But yes, I made it inside that tunnel right there. And that tunnel was a 2 to 3 hour long melee of the police and the protesters, people dying, them beating up women. There's this woman, I'm going to bring up her name quickly. If you have Google, which you all do, Google Victoria White. Victoria White was a woman that was inside that tunnel, completely unarmed, right? Just kind of following the crowd, right? Herd mentality, everyone follows each other. And the Capitol Police mercilessly beat this woman to a pulp for no reason. She's a tiny little 5'2" thing. And the way that they're repeatedly, they got her by the hair and drilling, punching her in the face.
There's
footage of this, yes. Okay. Victoria White. And so I saw that personally with my own eyes, and I saw other egregious acts of police misconduct and brutality that got my blood boiling to the point where, I'm like, screw this, we're pushing back. These people are not going to kill us and maim us and murder us in the people's house. And that was the energy of every man there that day, and that's what it should be.
Can I ask you one question? Ray Epps, 100%. He got, a misdemeanor? We all know who he was. Who was he, if you had to guess, who was he working for?
I would say he would even be outside the FBI's purview, maybe Department of Homeland Security. DHS has, because of the Patriot Act, they have almost carte blanche to really run these type of nefarious operations, both on Homeland, and abroad and whatnot. So I would say it almost reeks like CIA, DHS, deep state stuff.
Because he was the one promoting.
The FBI's like to arrest grandmas. DHS is a little more sophisticated in running operations like that.
Yeah, because if you saw all the tapes, I'm pretty sure you did. He was the one leading the charge, saying, guys, tomorrow we're going in the Capitol. And people kept saying, Fed. All that, all grandmothers got arrested for not even being there. This guy got a misdemeanor slap on the wrist, but no time in jail. And I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I think that was one of the main guys inciting violence, inciting the riot, and he got away scot-free.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I think it's a no-brainer. He worked for one of these organizations, bro. Give me a break.
Now, all right. So that's one photo, but they charge you with 11 counts, including multiple assaults on law enforcement. Can you walk us through what the actual counts were, and then what they said those charges were for?
Yeah. So originally this was a pressure tactic that they upped my charges throughout my time incarcerated. So back this up to the beginning. I spent 1,467 days incarcerated without ever having a trial. Jeez. I was never found guilty of any crime.
Wait, all right. So 1,406.
That ends up being 4 years and 6 days.
You were locked up.
I was locked up the entire presidency of Joe Biden. Joe Biden was never my president.
Wow. That's hilarious.
And so during this time, right?
Question.
I started off with 4 charges.
Before that, have you ever been in trouble with the law any point in your entire adult life? Look, not like a kid egging houses, but have you ever been in trouble with the law prior to?
I have no record.
So, I have to. You're a guy, and look, I was somebody from the other side who didn't wake up until after COVID. Once I started realizing the shit with the COVID passports, we lived in Florida. Everything was normal. I don't know where you were. I know you were in California. In Florida, things were normal. You could still go out. It wasn't like the world shut down. So I didn't experience the same COVID you experienced. What I experienced was the draconian. I thank you. The draconian measures that were taken with the COVID passports and the vaccine.
Yeah.
And that's what made me wake up. But after that had happened after January 6th. So at the point where I'm seeing this going on, I'm like, well, this is trespassing at a minimum. So, yeah, these guys should probably get like a fine. There's no way I would have looked at this. Now, again, I don't know your charges, and I don't know more than what this photo is until you tell us. But there's no way I would think a guy without any criminal history, never being arrested, never being through the court system, would face 4 years and 6 days in jail while waiting for a trial, not even being convicted of anything.
We applied 3 times for bond. Bond is the same thing that all these freaking looters, rioters, these career criminals, Irina Zaruski's murderer, that deranged lunatic, these people have a revolving door of bond in New York, Chicago, wherever. They can commit almost any heinous act, but right below murder. and sometimes they actually get bonded out for murder too, and they commit another murder. But I was never offered bond, which is a violation of the 8th Amendment, the Constitution right there. It's cruel and unusual punishment and right to bond, reasonable bond. 3 times I applied. Family put up property worth millions of dollars and stuff. No, can't go home. No criminal record, right? No evidence that I'll ever do this or ever have done this again. But they wouldn't let me go home to fight my case from home. They kept me in 900 days of solitary confinement.
So you're 24 to 28, you're locked up, which I do you remember 24 to 28 for you?
Best years of my life.
That's what I'm saying. And okay, so they charge you with 11 counts. Walk us through the 11 counts quickly.
So multiple assault charges, ended up getting 7 assault charges, but it only started off with 4. No assault charges in the beginning. They wanted me to testify against President Trump in the second impeachment hearing and say you can go home. When I said no, I would never do that. I have honor, integrity. You have to have those things. You can't wake up in the mirror and rat on the greatest president in the world. First of all, bear false witness, not even rat. Ratting would be saying, something that happened.
Yeah.
Bearing false witness would be like, yeah, Trump made me do it, which is completely false. And so when I refused to take that plea deal, that offer, then they upped me up to 8 charges. Then they said, it's going to be 6 years in prison for this plea deal. You have to, at the end of the day, to take it or not, you're going to have to write in a statement saying that you're guilty, saying that President Trump influenced this. You have to plead guilty to obstruction of Congress, a 20-year felony charge, right? The same charge they charged President Trump with. This charge, 20-year felony charge, we beat in Supreme Court. I ended up saying 2 years extra without a trial, going up from the district court to the appellate court to the Supreme Court for this one charge because 360 January 6th patriots were charged with this, and special counsel Jack Smith ended up charging President Trump with 1512 obstruction of Congress, 20-year felony charge. The Supreme Court overruled it, and it actually got struck from President Trump's indictment, criminal indictment, and my indictment, which radically changed my whole entire thing. So when I beat them on that, then they upped me from 8 to 12 charges. They just started contriving charges, basically. In the federal definition of assault, you can intimidate an officer and it's assault. So if you go like that, right, that's assault charge on an officer.
I flinched.
All right, Jake. No, Jake. We have all the facts here. We know where your heart was at. You want to go out there, defend America, very noble. Where was your head at? Do you regret anything? Like, is there any points during the journey? Like, because here I see that this happened on January 6th, and then they didn't catch until January 16th. Those 10 days, what were you thinking about?
I formed a militia during those 10 days.
Oh, great.
That's what I was thinking about.
I would think waffles at the Waffle House on the way back to New York.
I do not regret anything about January 6th.
Nothing at all.
I regret
How about
missing
posting on
my
Facebook?
sister.
That's not very smart.
I regret.
Huh?
No, definitely not. I would do that again. I regret
do that
missing
again.
family members' funerals, weddings, deep moments of my life to spend with the ones I love. Of course, I regret those things. But I'm lucky to come home. Our military lays down their life to defend this country. They never get to go home. Ashley Babbitt never enjoys another birthday.
Michael Bird. Chop up Michael Bird.
He needs to go to
And he's
prison.
not-
The murderer.
yeah.
And so if President Trump were to put out a tweet right now saying, I need people at the Capitol, I'd leave Valuetainment Studios, get in my car, and drive to D.C. right now and be standing right
Do
where
it
I was again. And do it again because our country is worth fighting for. Freedom is worth dying for. Freedom is not free. It is paved and it is drenched in the blood of patriots and tyrants.
All right.
And I respect that. So I want to ask you, so 2 things. One, and you can answer both, Jake. Well, one is the solitary confinement, 900. How many days?
900.
That's insane. What is that? What does that entail? What's your day look like in solitary confinement? Bathroom breaks, sunlight. Are you seeing anything? Number one, and then number 2, you did all that, and I understand where he's coming from. I believe in my heart of hearts they cheated. I believe that the left is. Don't get me wrong. All politicians are what they are. But I believe in fighting for this country. If you don't step up, we'll easily become England and all these places, and we're the greatest country in the world. So first is a solitary confinement, and number 2, you did everything that you did. You have a record for the rest of your life. You fought.
I don't have a record. I was completely
completely done.
First of all, I was never convicted of a crime.
Okay.
So my case actually ended up being dismissed. When pardons came, I'm not even technically pardoned.
Okay.
My case, I would have to be
got
found
dis-
guilty.
So
I was
So
dismissed.
this is assault charges. He made them up just to.
No, they didn't make those up, but they have a justification, a legal justification behind why did you assault? If a woman is being mugged by 2 random people, and you go and you cap one of them, right? Because she has a gun to her head, you've committed what is legally defined as murder. But you could be exonerated, justifiable
Because you
murder
saved their
because
life.
it was in self-defense. So those are two different things. Did you assault people? That's by the legal definition of assault. No, I was acting in self-defense, so I did not assault people. I actually defended myself, self-defense. So I did what they said I did, but it's why I did it, and am I justified for doing it? I believe in any red state, if I wasn't in the deepest swamp, 97% Kamala Harris voting jury pool, I believe I'd have been exonerated on all my charges in Texas, Florida, you name it, Tennessee. But in D.C., it was like a lamb to the slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
It was a complete railroad Soviet show trial. You had no chance of justice.
So just really fast, Alberto. So solitary confinement, I want to know what that was. And then second part, with everything that you've been through, with everything that you've done, with your guy, which is Donald Trump, which is my guy as well, up to this point, this new 4 years, are you happy with what he's doing? And if there's anything that you don't like, I want to know. Because, I mean, you're like, I mean, I think he's one of the greatest presidents. Yeah, he's crazy and, okay, whatever. But everything that he's doing right now, I mean, bro, there's no way Kamala or anybody could do anything. He goes
unpredictable.
Up like, hold on, he's still going to be one of the best. So yeah, solitary confinement. And then are you happy with, because you did what you did for this guy, and now are you? What aren't you happy about?
I have one statement. 4 more years. President Trump has my undying, unwavering loyalty for the rest of my life. He saved my family. He saved all my brothers. We became brothers in arms in the basement of D.C. jail with vermin running around at our feet in solitary confinement, praying in the name of Lord Jesus, baptizing some of these J6 men. He brought them home to their wives. He brought them home to their families. This man did what no other man would have done. Not even J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance actually, 2 weeks before the inauguration, said, we're not going to pardon the violent ones, which is 600 out of 1,600. So over 1/3 of us had violent charges.
And you were considered one of the violent ones.
I
mean, he has a freaking DiMarini bat.
I had the most.
And he's not playing softball.
And so, no other man walking would have done that. President Trump has backbone. He has goal. I love President Trump, and he has my undying loyalty. Now, some of the people in his cabinet, the DOJ, FBI, and stuff, we can get into their inadequacies and their lack of action because they are not above the fray. I can criticize them. President Trump, I can never say a bad word about again in my life because that's honor. Somebody does something like that for you, they save your life, they save this country and stuff like that. You have to have honor above. You could be a political pundit, right, all day and try to make a viral video. Trump, I don't like this. But at the end of the day, being a man and showing honor and integrity in your personal relationships and stuff, you have to give value and weight to what this man has done for your own life and your country and just say, he's above bad-mouthing for me. I'm not just going to try to make a hot clip and go at President Trump for this. Oh, he picked my about this, that. President Trump, thank you. God bless you. That's it. You know what I mean? Signed, sealed, delivered, right?
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
How do you find out that you're getting pardoned? When does that news come down?
That news came, first of all, news came 13 days before, the news was the second most powerful man in the world, J.D. Vance, just said, you're not getting pardoned.
Yeah.
So we're like inside the cell, I'm like scratching. I'm like, got to start digging out now,
Yeah.
And then the only news came when he held up the sign in the Oval Office, right? And then I knew I was getting pardoned. He said, all 1,500, we're getting them out tonight. We're getting them out tonight.
And how quickly after he announces that are you actually released from jail?
It was one complete 24-hour period. Everybody else got released immediately. The January 6ers left in the D.C. gulag. Trump had to mobilize the U.S. Marshals. I had to tweet at Elon Musk from my cell. I tweeted at him because everybody else got released. They only held, because everyone else was in federal prisons all across the country, right? And so I had to tweet at Elon Musk, hey, I just got pardoned yesterday. I'm still not out. I'm in my prison cell. Call my fiance, she tweets it. He answers, Jake, we're working on it. So a few hours later after that, and I'm on the phone with General Flynn. We're actually on a video conference.
The best.
And he's working on it. So I got 3-star general, the richest man in the world, and the most powerful President Trump man in the world, all working simultaneously to secure my freedom. Wow. And I'm just like, this is an historic moment, a very, deep moment in American history for me to be living it in my prison cell, packing up my stuff, because the night before, I packed up all my stuff out of my cell. I said, I'll never go behind another locked door again in my life. And I said, guards, you're letting me out tonight. I don't care what happens. I have a paper right here from the President of the United States saying I'm pardoned, exonerated, and completely free. Let me out. So we don't have permission, And so 6 of them came and they picked me up like a suitcase and threw me back in the cell for the longest night of my life ever.
Jeez.
I already gave away my mattress too to one of my other guys. You know, you get in prison, you have people that
I don't know. Just to be clear,
Well,
I've never been.
when you're in prison and somebody's leaving, they give away all their stuff, right? So that somebody else can have it. So
Okay,
I went back in my
fair.
room. No,
would
I had
take
a sheet.
facts.
I had a sheet and I was sleeping on my concrete slab. It was a long night, but it was also the sweetest sleep of my life because I knew tomorrow I'm going home. So these moments. Sitting back and thinking about them, because right now I've been on a 10-month sprint to run away from all those memories, right? Running for Senate, doing all these amazing things, protests, filing lawsuits, running podcasts, being with amazing patriots like you guys. And to relive those moments sometimes, it crushes your heart a little bit because you're like, wow, it's like going back and watching a movie and you're like, but that was my life. And I spent 4 years 900 days solitary, which to explain that to the audience, because Vinny asked, it is an 8x10 box. You are, in most institutions, you're without books because it's disciplinary solitary. I was doing interviews for my prison cell, Newsmax, OAN, Real America's Voice, you name it, Grant Cinchfield. I'd get on the phone, 3-way call, my girl, she would call the studio, boom, be online. Then 20 minutes later, the guards would come rush my cell, throw me in solitary for a month or two for one interview, right? Be stuck there. No pictures of your family. Light stays on 24/7. No direct sunlight for years at a time.
It's Guantanamo Bay.
It was insane.
Like as if you killed somebody.
Because and they used the domestic terrorist angle to hold you under extreme inhumane conditions because
I'm not a fan.
They have a right, they say, to make it so you can't talk to your family, to make it so you can only have like 1 hour of sunlight per week, this, that. And then they say, oh, the weather's bad, so you get it next week. And they always make up stuff. COVID, 1 year of lockdown for COVID. That was 23 hours a day in the cell. 23 hours, 15 minutes. So 45 minutes a day out. Get a shower, call mom, play a quick game of, Texas Hold'em with the other two guys they let you out with. Have a little human contact, talk to somebody, back in yourself. Then, over the weekend, you don't get out. So really, if you do the math, you're out of yourself 4 hours a week. Because over the weekend, you don't get out, then 45 minutes, 5 days. So you're out of yourself for 4 hours a week. Inside your cell, you're doing thousands of push-ups. You're doing burpees, and you're reading the Bible. And if you're not doing that, then you're wallowing in your own pity, and the demons start to surround you. Those walls get real small. You got to stay physically fit to get those endorphins released every single day, mentally clear, thinking about your family, reliving old memories, listening to Christian worship music and the little handheld radio they listen to, and just push-ups and squats and push-ups and squats and read a chapter of the Bible. And that was my life for 4 years. And, at the end of the day, that's what makes a man out of somebody, an unbreakable man, because once they toss that at you, all my J6 prisoners know this. Once they say this is what you get in your life, and this is as low as it goes, they can't threaten you with anything else. They can't, try to blackmail you, anything. You've already thrown the worst life can offer at me, and now it's only up from here. I won't break. I won't, fold my character in for anybody or anything. I've already been through the worst. I survived it, and now it's time to build a legacy on top of that. And that's what, I'm here today to do for the J6ers, to talk about what we went through, what these patriots, these men, these brave men, most of them are U.S. Marines, school teachers, firefighters, physical therapists, like salt of the earth, great people. What these men endured for our country should never be forgotten. And quite honestly, we deserve recompense for it. We deserve the people who did this to us, the prosecutors, the judges, the FBI agents that broke down our doors. All these people deserve to go to jail. We must set a precedent of justice. You cannot weaponize and politicize the Department of Justice, the prison system, all of these different federal operations against good Americans and then release them back out into the wild. Most of these guys have broken lives. Wives left them. Businesses shut down, homes mortgaged and sold to the bank, living in their cars. Some of them are even homeless, and we've had to get them 2-month long places to stay. Airbnb. I'll buy an Airbnb for my friend. One of my J6ers will stay in it for a month or two. On to the next place, try to get a job. Can't get jobs. You Google, if I was an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that shows up.
Yeah, you Google that. It's like, hey, can I work at your True Value store? You know what I mean? They're like, well, you're good with the bat. But I mean,
Now,
this is what we've endured for our country, and we deserve our lawsuits to be heard, and for the restitution. People deserve, for 4 years of your life wrongfully incarcerated, standing up for your country as a patriot, to lose birthdays. I mean, I had this one J6er, Zach Reel, Proud Boy. His wife was pregnant when he left. He came home to a 4-year-old daughter that he never met.
Jeez.
Okay? This is what these men, U.S. Marine, Zach Reel, great man, lives in Philly, amazing, I love him. These guys sacrificed their lives for our country. Some people like Ashley Babbitt, Roseanne Boylan, the woman that died under my feet there, in my arms. Kevin Grease and Benjamin Phillips lost their life for this country, defending it at the Capitol. And so investigations need to be had. Liz Cheney, Benny Thompson, all those guys, Jamie Raskin that did the J6 Select Committee, that sham, that they obfuscated the truth, lied to the American people, drummed up false evidence, all that stuff. Criminal prison sentences need to be handed out. I need to see somebody in handcuffs sooner. We're going back to the Capitol.
Are they going after? Like, do you think like Trump is going? And I don't think it's people want to call it retribution. If you broke the law, like a lot of them did, like, are they going after them fast enough? I mean, I know Cash Patel, because Rob, you're about to go to the Cash Patel story and stuff. They're going after, which I get it. NBA, cheating, LeBron, okay. I get that. But what about the people? Because what matters is the Constitution. What matters is the country. Weaponizing the DOJ, weaponize all these judges and all this crap. It drives me crazy because Comey, he's indicted. Bolton, he's getting indicted.
Raid them.
That's what I'm saying.
Raid them and embarrass them.
Bolton got raided. Well, before
On TV, like they call, FBI called, some of our raids, Mar-a-Lago raid, front cover, CNN, front cover, everything.
Roger Stone in his house at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Before we move on, I have more questions. I see the picture of you with the baseball bat and the thing. Like, I don't want to get into it, but I've been in more riots than I like to be. All right. Do you have any, have you been in a riot before this?
No, I never.
The thing is, I've been in riot situations, and it takes a lot of training, knowing how to handle yourself. So this is your first riot out of the blue.
It was not a riot. Let's categorize this correctly. This was we were reacting to police brutality. This was not a riot. People that say it's a riot are getting fired at the DOJ. 2 DOJ prosecutors just wrote in a memorandum last week that this was a riot. President Trump caused a riot, and they just got fired. So words matter. This was not a riot. This was a protest that spun out of hand because of the police.
Yeah. And, there was an escalation.
Yes.
Civil unrest for a little bit.
Yeah.
Things were jumping back and forth.
BLM was a riot, okay? This was 2 hours at the Capitol.
That was a burning.
So you just
people, but that scene that you see, let me just say this 2 seconds. That scene you see was super rare at the Capitol. 95% of the criminal indictments that came from January 6th, people that walked through an open door, fist bumped a cop, took a selfie with a police officer, stayed between the red velvet ropes.
We saw the videos, yeah.
Right? They were complete, everything was cool there. It was only in that West Terrace tunnel where things really got really hectic because they murdered a woman. The patriots stood up and tried to defend lives. So, in my personal scenario, I had a little different experience than 95% of J6ers. Most of them didn't even realize they're breaking the law. They didn't see any police officer tell them, you can't enter here, or not a posted sign or anything. So my scenario is much different than most other people's. Most of these people are glorified tourists, right? Trespassers, like Rob said, that just ended up at the wrong place at the wrong time, right? And if they would have done that any other day of the week if they were Stephen Colbert staffers, breaking into the Capitol, right?
That.
Remember that?
Yep.
For or SNL staffers, somebody's staffers, one of the talking heads. If they were those staffers breaking into the Capitol, walking around without authorization, they would have got the slap on the wrist they got. But because they're MAGA, because they're Republicans, because they're Christian, because they're white, all these identifiers, right, that the left hates, that's why they got the book thrown at them.
All right.
My God, Rob.
Well, no, Humberto had a question. That's
No.
that.
So you just went there. Things got out of hand.
Yeah, I've never been a part. I've been to two Trump rallies prior to that, and that's it. That's all I've ever been. And politically, I was just online posting libertarian memes. Going out in a nightclub, post a libertarian meme. That was my life, and then sell some ads on Facebook.
What I'm saying here, I love your story. I think what they did to you is extremely unfair. I commend your spirit for going there and standing up like an American, but I did photography in a bunch of riots, and they move very different. I'm not saying Jan 6 was a riot, but I don't know how to describe it. How would you call it when people get rowdy? You know?
Well, we were protesting.
Yeah, I've been to many protests to take pictures and videos and things, and it took me years to learn how to move through crowds, know when things were going to get dangerous, when it's a different deal. So you just were in the middle of this, not prepared at all. And you,
well, as a herd, from being in a lot of these big crowds, herd mentality takes over, right? Once you see another brave man, stand up and do something, and they're like, yeah, fighting back and standing up and stuff. As another man, I was a college wrestler in New York City and stuff, and I'm like, this is what our country needs right now. This is the will of the people. We're standing up finally. Somebody's doing something. My grandpa had a great saying. He said, do something even if it's right. You know what I mean? And so it's like, as a joke saying, like, just do something even if it's right.
What did you go with?
And you got to do something.
Who did you go with? Was it a group?
I actually went down there with, my mother's Jewish on my mother's side, and I'm a Christian, born-again Christian by faith. My dad's German, Irish Catholic. And I went down there with Jewish busloads of Jews from Brooklyn, New York, the Chabad down there, which I was loosely affiliated with. I went to like 2-3 Shabbats with them, and they said, we're all going down there, a bunch of Jews for Trump. So I'm like, okay. And I went down there with them. None of them made it to the front lines. They're like, oh, got to go home. I got to go home. Matzo ball soup's ready,
Yeah, that's so funny.
One final question before we move on. When you get released, what day is that this year? It was this year,
January 21st, 2025, 8:35 p.m. 1,467 days and 9 hours since I was arrested. To my beautiful fiance's arms, Rachel. My father, Ned Lang, was there. Thousands of supporters, hundreds of media. I had my prison beard, you know what I mean? I had my Bible in my hand, and I just railed off. All the cameras surrounded me, and I just railed off for literally hours about the deliverance of God and the power of faith and how this is a turning point in America. And it was just beautiful. I can't describe it other than the Holy Spirit just took me over and just led me through. A couple hours later, I was finally sitting alone in my hotel room, and everything's quiet, and I'm like, I'm really home. I'm really free.
So if you like this clip, click right here. And if you want to see more like it, click right here. Stay angry, Patriots.